Hey there, welcome to Bitcoin Cash Wyckoff technical analysis session. So Bitcoin Cash has been trading within a I wouldn't say very narrow, quite narrow range, testing the key level of $615, this green key level over here, over the past couple of weeks basically. So for 5 to 6 weeks, it hasn't been successful in closing above that key level. The significance of this is, like I covered every single session before, we see this pink box, this downward trend channel. So every distribution cycle from March last year, December last year, and then eventually started from late July all the way to now, it has been tested, this level, this green key level, if I change it to a chart view. So you see, since 21st of July, for 9 weeks now, yeah, definitely it seems like the price has been getting higher when it's getting like tested. Hopefully it will eventually break above this, but we're getting kind of close to the point again whether this breakout is going to happen. Let me extend this white box. That's the long-term playground zone, meaning in a prolonged period of time the price of Bitcoin Cash has been traded within this box. You see, right? Other than these crazy peaks, 70-80% of the time the price of Bitcoin Cash has been trading within these area. And we're getting to a point, from a weekly time frame perspective, we're getting narrower and narrower into this triangle. Not saying it's it can be treated like a descending triangle, and think as the textbook definition of candlestick pattern analysis that it's probably a downward signal, like a bearish signal over there. I don't disagree with that, but it's still far. It's basically April next year. Let's see whether that's going to last that long. Like, is it going to trade sideways for another 6-7 months? Maybe not, right? So that's the first thing. In terms of Wyckoff, the stages we already put in previously, but we're basically asking a question. Is this really a buying climax back in late July? Or is this platform period only a preliminary supply period? So it may be over there, but let's see if it's a second scenario, much like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The blue scenario isn't the case, and then what is the other scenario? Let's change this to a yellow tag. The current period that started late July, I would say in the other scenario, this is only just a PS1, meaning the buying climax isn't there yet, and it's going to be somewhere near $700. And let me put the question mark over here. It can have an upwards as well, so I would say as of this time, the prices are pretty much around the range of what we had back in December last year. So if you are a long-term holder, you may have a bit of relief that this peak, at least it hasn't lose value compared to the last peak. But it isn't really that strong of an argument, because unless it comes to the 700 level, then I would consider that it's really kind of stay put with the value, like at least balanced compared to March 2024. Because this peak is just too low. If I do this trending box, this pink box over here, this peak should have hit at least 660, but it did not. It hit 640 and then it died down immediately. So hopefully this downtrend doesn't continue while we are waiting for a biggest swing to happen. Even Bollinger Band counter squeeze, it's probably going to take another 2-3 weeks before it enters the squeeze zone. So you see when the energy of squeeze released, that's when we had this up leg, much like what happened back in October in 2024. So it's not always to the upside, but yeah, whenever there's a squeeze, especially in this weekly time frame, those squeeze will be pretty big. Now let's get to the daily. Here, if we turn off the Bollinger Band, well, maybe not. Let's turn off the drawings. We are starting another squeeze right now. So you see the basically this bar, this shade at the back, this vertical shade. Whenever it shows up, it basically means a squeeze is happening. And last time over here, mid-August, it pushed the price back to the other end of the channels. But then it bounces up and down. Now we're somewhere near the top edge of the channels. It probably can go down this way as well, so be really cautious what's going to come. And looking at the upward channel box that I already mentioned, maybe. So if the price stays where it's now, this level, and trade sideways, eventually it will get into this tip that's around October 7th. So roughly, I would say, less than 3 weeks. And previously we already put in these tags over here. This candle over here on Thursday, yesterday, for some people it's the day before, I would probably just consider this as a second test. It's so close to the level of the upthrust back in mid-August. So yeah, this is the second test. This, it's same level. We can still call it that way, but like I said, I would expect it to hit somewhere closer to the light blue key level. So I'm going to put this as another second test before I actually get to that level, if it does. This, the sign of weakness, we've put it there. We're kind of expecting it to come down. But the first point it has to go through is this blue upward channel support line. And then the white is the long-term playground zone top edge. Is it middle or top? Yeah, it's the top. And eventually, that's when it comes down to challenge the yellow. So it's a multi-support challenge that it may not be that easy to break to the downside. Also because it hasn't exhibited a declining peak. So since April, mid-April, and then mid-May and May, and all the way till like late July and also mid-August, those peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are kind of aligning to these straight lines. So the momentum seems to be like keep going without declining. Just the sign of it like being traded from the top half of the box switching to the lower half of the box, that's the only worry I have. Instead of like showing a flattening curve, well, you can treat it is already happening. So sometimes it is a bit more wild, but I kind of forgotten for a second that this is a daily chart. So it might have already started this kind of weakening sign. So this kind of flattens out. That's what I'm talking about. If not, it would have been something like this and traded on the top half of the box, but then it dropped to the lower half. Maybe it's really signaling it's time to get to the downside. Okay, switch back to all these. this is still continuing, 30% to the upside, 70% to the downside, with Bollinger Band Kirchner squeeze happening. So if it does swing to one side, yeah, we would. Some people, like bullish people, would expect it to come up and test the light blue key level, but for me, it seems like it's going to head to test the downside, at least challenging this top edge of the white box at around $570. And that's my view. If we go back to the weekly, just to quickly recap, Bitcoin Cash is still testing this level, this 615, and it got rejected week after week. What we hope to see is for the price, whether it's the yellow scenario or the blue scenario, to go to hit the 700. But it doesn't seem like it's going to happen right now, until when the squeeze actually happens. Then we'll probably see clearer what are the signals here, because if it really forms a descending triangle, according to candlestick pattern analysis, sorry about the chart again, I'm talking about this, if it's trading within this triangle over there, that's a descending triangle. According to candlestick pattern analysis, that's going to the downside. So if it does, it's going to challenge the 530 key level. I've already drawn this text over here, and basically previous week I've put in this. I'm trying to make it simpler. Let's say just 80% towards the accumulation cycle and 20% towards an upwards of the distribution. Or if it's in the yellow scenario, that's the buying climax. So aim for 700, but it may never happen in this cycle. We're getting closer and closer to this, but again, this sign of weakness, we're expecting it to happen sooner or later, within the next 2-3 weeks maybe. So that's everything for Bitcoin Cash. Stay safe, trade safe, remember your stop loss, and hopefully Bitcoin Cash can hit 700. Good luck.